Hello, my good people. Um, this is the analysis for the week of the 24th of July. Let me start off by giving you my thought processes on the DXY. So as you clearly can see, the DXY is starting to show a short-term reversal to the downside to clear up some inefficiencies that were left behind in the market. Um, right now, current price is showing a little bit of correction. I believe price will continue to clean up all this inefficiency. I'm looking to target the 10500 level. Um, so I would like to see price do possibly trade down to some of this inefficiency around the 10600 level. It tapped it just a little bit last week on Friday, I believe. But I expect price to trade up into fresh supply that was left behind. Um, we also have some Fed news coming out next week, so this would actually coincide with this next move. Um, pretty sure the information in the Fed announcement is already kind of priced into the market. That would just be the catalyst to push the price to its intended direction that it's going to go anyways. So price would just maybe correct its way down to this level. Not that I'm looking to buy it down here, but then push itself up here to the supply, then trade down. It would be nice if this area is met by the time that news comes out, which would then partially push this price down to that 105 level. But if the news has not come out yet, the price starts to just correct its way around and possibly even get to this level before the news. We can even see it coming up to this fresh supply that was left behind earlier in the week before. This push down actually closed this gap in the market. This was that good indication that price will trade lower, especially because of the gap inefficiency, and it built up liquidity right here. So that's a good sign that price may decide to trade up to that 108, 350 level. Price typically like to close gaps and come back and close out the close of that gap, if that makes any sense. So that's a very possible opportunity that price will trade up here. But my first zone I'm looking at is here, of course. You know, if it's here around that news, I expect price to trade down. That's fairly simple on this trade. I'm not looking for anything crazy. A quote, I don't necessarily trade the DXY, but I use it as my vocal point for my other pairs I do trade that has anything in relation to the DXY. The next pair I'm looking at is Euro USD. Euro USD didn't do much this week, not much at all. I actually called zones for buys, and they never actually made it to those zones. And of course, my computer wants to be frozen right now. Nice. Um, but again, we didn't really get much movement. Price literally just traded within the range on the Euro USD. Pretty much it opened and then just kind of played around within that range, which is fine. It's just trying to build up orders. Just opposite of DXY, I expect the price to come a little low, come lower, and down to the area that I identified last week. Then take out the liquidity inefficiencies, a lot of inefficiency in the market. So I do see price coming down and trading up to at least this supply zone around the 104, 300, the 1.4, 300, 350 level. That's at the very least. It can go higher, but let me focus on like first moves rather than like long moves. This trade right here is, in my opinion, a nice high probability trade to happen. If fresh demand starts to develop itself around this level, around this area here, I would adjust this trade in the group chat, but I think it would be likely to trade down into these fresh areas that were not mitigated yet. So this is a timing thing as well. A time. Just make sure that we're not trading these pairs outside of the time window that makes sense. But again, if the trade's in your zone and you see it, take it. I typically do that, but I don't like necessarily just take a trade just because it's in my zone. You know, the time is there, then I'm definitely taking a trade. If it's not there, I'm not taking a trade. That's pretty much it for your USD. Let's go to Aussie USD. Very similar setup. This trade is another trade that didn't actually make it to our zone, but it did give us quick signs of pushing higher because it gave us fresh supply that was introduced in the market. Excuse me, fresh demand that was introduced in the market that never was mitigated yet. So I can see price doing some maybe a lower time frame shift here, coming down to these levels, then taking price higher up into the 7,100 level. Looking at the 6,100 level, 60, excuse me, 068 level for possible buys. And this again, it's a timing thing. Lower prices can be tackled down here, but I don't believe these are as valid anymore, being that we have fresh demand placed in the market. So this will be that first zone I'll be looking for buys at. Um, Next pair will be NZD USD. I'm going to leave GDP USD alone because it doesn't have any clear sign of what it needs to do, even though I expect it to fall in line just alongside all the other XXUSD pairs. But on NZD USD, I noticed that price did tap a supply that it respected, but I believe this is just a reaction. I don't expect this supply to quote unquote hold. I do expect price to trade lower, maybe clean up some of this trend line liquidity, fresh tap into this fresh demand that was put in that also broke structure, took out some liquidity, and to trade up into the 6,400 level, which is a nice hold number where price can trade into. So the 61,500 level is the area I'm looking for possible buys. But again, just like on AUD USD, there are some lower levels that we can identify, but they are highly unlikely being that fresh demand has been placed in the market. Um, the next pair I'm focused on will be some of the indices. Um, US 100 definitely came into a fresh supply and reacted, which is good. Not necessarily saying this is going to be a full-out reversal to the downside. We do know that indices tend to go the opposite direction of DXY. So if DXY is buying, indices are selling. If DXY is selling, indices are buying. So I expect at least a short-term pullback on the indices, especially to maybe clear some inefficiencies. We do have what looks like some fresh supply introduced into the market that did break some minor structure here. You can see it on the 4 hour, which is good. And even the hour, you can kind of see that it broke. Not a full candle break, but a break nonetheless. We can tackle these fresh quote unquote supply that was placed to the market to take price lower. I would typically look to see if this our target is reached at during like a New York time, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Monday morning, but I don't expect it to happen on Monday. Yeah, it's possible, but not necessarily. Around that 12,550 level, take price down to at least some of this inefficiency that pushed the price higher at least. Maybe even taking out these lows, but I don't believe these lows will be taken. I expect price to kind of hold around these levels. I think these are like quote unquote protected lows, take price higher. But again, we flow with the market. We don't necessarily assume that the market is going to do. I don't expect market to do what we believe it's going to do. It's going to do what it needs to do based off what the market wants to do. Next pair will be US 30. US 30 are very similar, nothing too different about US 30. US 30 did tap fresh supply as well to the left. It didn't fully take out that supply. I would like for the market to take out supply to call it a valid reversal in a sense. So in this trade, I would like to see this be a more defined supply, maybe breaking these lows at the 31,530 area, but not necessarily. I don't really mind if it doesn't break, but it would be nice if it does break. But I would look for price to trade into this 3,200 level. And once trades there and the time is right, trade down to levels of inefficiency that was left behind in the market, which will be the most ideal thing because that's the area where price pushed up to make these new highs that are put into the market. A timing thing is very important with this as well, just like the other indice pairs. US 500, nothing different, the same scenario. Taking out inefficiencies in the market, coming up into some fair value gaps, maybe even supply up here. But also would like to see it break these lows here, just like on the NAS 100, excuse me, the US 130. And then we'll identify whether or not price will like to trade into these zones, either one of these zones at the 40 level, which would be nice, or the 39.83 level, which would also be nice. Not too much to say there, just real simple. You know, we took a nice little buy on this pair last week. Really nice buy. It came into our level. And then really took this trade kind of outside that window that I'd be referring to, that New York window, but it's fine because when price broke above this gap that was placed into the market and traded back to close that gap, I knew that price was going to trade back into the initiation that caused that break to take out the gap. And I identified that initiation based off of the fib level and the fact that it was clear discounted level without even needing the fib. I knew that it came fairly close to that 78 level, even that 61 level. But once I knew price trade there, I knew that there's no way that price should trade below there. If it did, and then it was just completely wrong, it wouldn't have mattered at that point. But confident enough to know that my trade was going to go the direction that I was intending for it to go because I knew it had higher supply levels of each. And yes, I do use the fib at times to determine whether or not price will come to my zone, and that's another confluence that I use, but not necessarily needed. And JPYs. We did send out GJ, AJ, NJ trades last week, and even EJ trade last week, which played out very lovely. We actually ate a lot of pips on this one right here. Um, I do expect GJ to continue lower, but I'd like to see some sort of retracement back to the upside to fresh supply that was brought in. I'm not gonna say until I'm too keen on the buy because this might be a corrective move up. It's gonna be could be fairly sloppy. But let's just say that the buy is a solid buy. Maybe we'll start to see some sort of shift around here to take price up into that 6,500 level, that 1,6,500 level, or we'll see this shift happen here at the 62,400 level, which is fine. I mean, I'm not looking for no solid confirmation on the buy, but if I receive one, maybe during the London, any one of these days, Monday or Tuesday, I will update the group to say there's a possible buy opportunity up into this level. But I'm more concerned to see it get here, to take the sell down lower, to end up taking out these lows down here that was put in, especially these low. This is the next low I'm looking for it to be taken, and even this low here. But we're not going to rush this trade. We're just going to flow with the market. And if it changes on us, then we'll just update the group. Um, Euro JPY was a trade that kind of was a botched one last week. As y'all know, I mentioned in the group that I identified this fresh supply for price to trade off of to go lower, but then I identified some new supply that was put into the market after the fact, which was clearly not valid. Not that it wasn't valid, I just identified it as a possible more potential area for price to trade lower. Price ended up trading lower, but from our initial play. And I literally didn't take my time to look to see that it actually triggered our first zone. And I missed opportunity to buy it here. Excuse me, sell it there. But again, we cannot catch them all. Me identifying this fresh supply wasn't wrong because it did break some minor structure here. It showed a shift, traded back into the zone. There was some liquidity built up. So there was nothing wrong with this sell. But around here is when that ECB news came out, pushing price higher, knocking anybody that was trying to sell it here out before it made its real move down. I actually didn't take the trade because I noticed ECB news was coming out, but I would have taken this trade if I just clearly thought for sure it was going to sell down from the zone. Not that I didn't believe it would, but I identified the top zone as the more viable zone and just miss out on it. Now I'm seeing price possibly take out this liquidity here, which is fairly close to doing, tap into fresh supply that was introduced into the market. There's also some fair value gap also right below it, which is real nice to take price up to this zone, which is around price 140.500, which is a solid area to take a buy from. Excuse me, sell from. We could look to buy again, like I was mentioning GJ, but not too keen on the buys, more keen on the sells. Now, we like to take price to take out all these lows down here because this is real good liquidity taking. I'm not going to sit here and talk speaking about all the extreme lows because I like to work in current price, not future price. That could happen a week from now or a month from now. Don't know. Just go with the flow of the market. The next pair would be UJ. I do not have the best track record on UJ, but now that I've noticed that UJ is starting to truly show me a shift in structure, I would like to see all this liquidity being taken in the market that was left behind. So these breaks, good strong breaks in the market is giving me a good strong indication that price will trade lower. And of course, if UJ trades lower, I expect all the other JPYs to trade just lower just the same. So I would like for price to trade back up into the 137,400 level, I want to say, maybe a little lower than 400 level. I don't really have a clean, solid spot yet on this one because I just don't think it's there yet. There is like smaller supply around the 136,784 level, but that to me is not like the best defined supply, being that it's just still it's within the middle of the range of this quote unquote leg. I would like to see the full range of the leg, or at least over 50% of the leg being taken. And I really don't know if this is a true swing low yet until we start seeing some real structure going to the upside here. But nonetheless, I would look maybe to enter this around that 137,500 level. That's what I would personally be looking to buy it from. Excuse me, sell it from. Next pair I'm looking at will be CJ. CJ is a trade that I also sent out that basically screwed us, um, which was fine. I mentioned last week that this green line was that triple top on the weekly that was very possible to be taken. And I knew that it was possible, but I was anticipating that maybe it's going to leave it behind for some future date. When price definitely came and took it out, but didn't go too far. It started distributing orders here, taking price lower. And then I couldn't find a clear entry on it until I saw supply being introduced into the market around here and here. And I'm like, okay, price should come here and trade down. It should catch a good move. But then price decided to push higher. And I took a 11 pip loss on this trade, but not that it didn't trade down. I just caught it the wrong side of it temporarily. Now I identify fresh supply that was introduced, some fair value gaps in the market for price to come back up and continue to price lower. I'm looking for continuation basically on these JPY pairs. So let price play out. Maybe you'll start seeing some sort of buildup of orders down here around the 105 level. From there, take price up to about the 106, 200 level to continue price lower. Again, on all these pairs, price can just plummet through all these zones. It could just say, you know what, we're not selling, we're not buying back up. We're just gonna leave all those quote unquote retail or smart money sellers slash buyers where they are and just take price low. Whatever happens, happens. That's when you start flowing with the market. That's all you need to do, flow with the market. Next pair, because I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm not gonna do too many pairs. I'm gonna skip over NJ, AJ because they're the same. Shift JPY is the same. Let's do gold. Um, so on gold, I sent out this sell. I remember last week from that one, was that the 123 level? It literally just nicked it, tapped it 123 and then dropped off. I mean, it played a little bit, but this was just because they were trying to build up some orders to go lower. And it finally did that, and it tapped that from the 1680 level, which I mentioned also in the group chat. So hopefully y'all caught that, and we'll see if we can't catch ourselves a nice sweet one again this week. So on gold, I am ultimately bullish on gold still, but I would like to see a corrective, either a complex or corrective structure to the downside, building orders to continue going up. There's liquidity, there's inefficiency, there's fresh supply that has yet to be tackled yet in the market. So I would like to see price trade down, maybe give us some sort of fresh supply here because we can actually take this sell. It would be nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with taking this sell, but it needs to give it to us cleanly. Like I don't want to take something choppy or too choppy where it doesn't make sense. Maybe give us a break, maybe a fresh supply, entry down, take it down here, see another ship, take price higher. Either way, I am short-term bearish, long-term bullish on gold, seeing that the DXY should travel down, maybe depending on the liquidity. And then if I'm wrong, I mean, that's how the market works. Next pair, which will probably be my last pair that I will do in this Zoom call because I want to save some of the questions that you may have in the group chat for later, and then I will be updating the charts in the weekly outlook tab. So nothing different about silver. Silver would definitely look to do the same thing, maybe some sort of corrective structure coming down into fresh demand. We got supply, quote unquote, that's kind of being placed into the market. I would like to see it come be tackled, take price lower into some lower time frame levels of demand down here. It'd be like the N5, N15, we'll see it N45. I can't remember the exact time frame I saw this on. Maybe like the 2 hour, I'm not too sure. Okay, it was a 2 hour that I saw this on. It's fresh supply. Came broke above. There's no clean break because I think the last true low I was put in was here. But this was more of an inducement low, I believe, because all it did was tackle some fair value gap that was here that was missed, that pushed price down into fresh demand, which now I can see price starting to shift to go higher. So it'd be nice to see price come back down here to this 2 hour supply, then take price higher to liquidity inefficiencies and so forth. Um, Nothing too crazy. I'm not looking for price to just, pulsate always to the upside, just targeting imbalance and liquidity for now and then go from there. That's all I have for this Zoom call today. Hopefully I have a wonderful trading week and I will put all these charts in the group. Happy trading.